With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.
Hi, I'm Sarah Gabrielli, and I've traveled to every single lesbian bar in the country for my podcast, Cruising. Each episode of Cruising features a different space and tells the stories of the humans that run it and the humans that call it home. You can listen to Cruising on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Season 1 and 2 are available now, so be sure to binge them before Season 3, which will go beyond the bars to queer bookstores, farms, peace encampments, and more, premiering February 4th.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Don't Blame Me. I wonder if any of you are new here and you have just started here because you saw a little bitch named Meghan on TikTok commenting saying, hey, you should check out this podcast if you're looking for something for 4 days a week to fill up your time because your docket is now cleared because you've finally decided it's time for you to stop listening to the bigots from the toast.
I was dying, for that comment, that one comment I made about the AI stuff. But then people saying this is her podcast partner. And I was like, I am so much more than that. That was rude to me. Like, that was more rude than people that didn't know who I was.
It was, I think someone called you my business partner. And I said, that's incredibly formal. Sure. Do we have a joint bank account?
Yes.
Yeah. But like, don't do that.
Right.
Don't do that. First of all, I think you should automatically assume we're sisters. And then after that, you go, okay, best friends. And then you go, and I think they also work together. But like, you should think we're sisters first, not partners, podcast partners or colleagues.
Offensive.
It's offensive.
Side eye.
Like also, nobody I work with who's a woman, I feel that way about. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I would never in my, like, if I hated someone who was a woman who I worked with, I would say, this is a colleague. I would, no. But I died at that, your AI comment. I was laughing so fucking hard.
I was working it up.
And, I think it's time for me to start making and posting more podcast clips because what I can tell from my feed is the girlies are desperately needing a podcast from two women who, and really their expectations are quite low. And I would like to say raise them a little bit higher. They were like, please just don't be cool with Elon Musk.
We're getting tagged in a lot of things too.
Oh, what's that? I've also been tagging us in them too. And I said, this podcast is great.
I made a TikTok video.
Oh my God, I saved it trying to watch because I was either going to bed or I was doing something in the morning where I couldn't listen with the sound on. And I said, I got to watch this.
Yeah, I'm starting to make day in the life videos now. But the whole thing is just to advertise this podcast. Like, I just need to be in people, like, just make content. But my thought was, I saw you talking more about the podcast. And I was like, I need to do something. I need to start building up some type of following or something.
When I saw you write that, I said, I should talk about the podcast more. And you did that because you saw me and you said, I should talk about the podcast more.
Look at us inspiring each other. So I've taken my account off of private.
Finally.
And now I'm going to start making stuff. So I put one up yesterday and I'll put one up today. I just need to edit in the voice over. And then, yeah.
And we'll record in person too because it is getting dark early, but like it's not getting dark at 3 o'clock anymore.
Yeah. Well,
No.
It's 3:40 right now and the sun
Now
is going down.
Well, now also doesn't count because there's fires.
Closer to you, but not really by
No,
me.
but in general, the UV is quite low.
It is low.
It's never getting that bright right now.
Yeah.
But there's fires. There's a fire close to you right now, I think. Not close,
It's
but
almost out.
okay.
Yeah.
Damn, they did that. They did a good job.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like the Palisades one is actually closer than that one is.
No, but they were almost touching, and that's when I panicked.
I know.
The Easton fire and the oh my god, it was the Easton fire was getting close to Angeles Forest, and I was like, we're fucked if we get there. And every time these fires get somewhat close, I'm like to each other, I'm like, no.
Mm-hmm. Please don't
Yeah.
cross. Well, this is Don't Blame Me, a call-in advice show. You can also write in now too, where we, two unqualified, very qualified individuals, I feel like now we can't say that anymore because we have been doing this professionally since 2017 and we make money. So that does make us professional advice givers.
When people started commenting on my videos talking about the specific advice I gave them, and I didn't recognize the advice, and I was like, that's really good advice. And they're like, Megan, you said that. I was like, actually, we should be getting paid from so many. We should be getting I think at this point we fully deserve an honorary PhD, an honorary doctorate. Like this is like,
I agree.
I think we're doing an incredibly good job. And you know what we're doing? We're doing an incredibly good job while also not defending Elon Musk. And like, who knew that was such a hard place to find a Venn diagram of a podcast?
Well, okay, but here we are, two professional advice givers. We've been in this a long time, and we cover, if you're new from TikTok or any other place, we cover a wide spectrum of things from family issues that might include incest.
Mm-hmm. By the way, we're never on the side of incest.
We're never on the side of incest.
We're never. We don't even like step siblings.
Diane had to remind me of that call that we had where
the dog in the vagina with the peanut butter.
Yeah.
Melissa, I wish I could forget.
I did forget because it wasn't in my top 5. And she said,
oh, no,
this is missing.
I remember being in the mountain house when we got the call. We did a callback and we talked to the person who it was. And I was like, you are one of the bravest soldiers ever. And then I was like, you're going to have the greatest life ever because you went through all of your trials and tribulations already. And
yeah. So we've got as nasty as that to as fun as hooking up with multiple brothers to getting peed on by a bride when you're the bridesmaid.
I think they were the maid of honor.
I'm trying to think of some more fun things.
Oh, when someone's boyfriend hired a Fiverr sex witch. To give them dreams about hentai porn. Mm-hmm. We have people who are like even just like going on dates and like wanting advice on, how to whatever, do this.
How to kiss.
Yeah. Or sometimes being like, how do I snoop? How do I find X, Y, and Z information out? Mm-hmm. Love that. And then sometimes we also have people who are committing adultery in the workplace.
We'll get more into that.
No, Melissa, today. I can't.
It's just
don't show me to me, Rachel. Don't show me to me.
Look, if you missed it because it got kind of buried between us skipping episodes, if you missed, there was an update.
Oh yeah.
Go back. I think 2 weeks. Go back. There was a new episode in between old episodes. And the person who co-sucked their coworker gave us
it's worse, by the way.
It's worse. And then the people that did listen left. If you don't know, you can leave comments on Spotify to the individual episodes. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're going to get into a little bit later.
Wow. And that's why the girls from the Toast deleted their episode and re-uploaded it, cut out the Elon stuff, because I don't think they knew that people could leave specific reviews with timestamps on specific episodes. Mm-hmm. So if you want to call in, we are a call-in advice podcast. You can give us a call at 310-694-0976. But we also, we don't say you just have to call in. You can also write in. You can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com if you're international and the Google Voice number doesn't work for you. But also, we now have opened it up so you can type it out. You can write it out if you don't want your voice to be on there. But people have also used voice changers. We have no issue with that. Like, It's all anonymous. We keep it anonymous.
I'm going to use one of these voice changers on TikTok, but I'm not going to post my actual video. I'm just going to save it as a draft and then play it.
Yep. We've had that.
That's perfectly fine.
It works totally fine. So if you want to write it out, you have to keep it under 300 words. You could also send it to our Instagram account in the DMs, which is at Meghan and Melisa.
Meghan with an H, Melissa with one S.
And if you want to do the voice ones, voice memo or voicemail, you have a 3-minute time limit. It will cut you off. The voice memo, we will cut you off. But for all of them, we ask that you're 18 or over, have your parents' permission, and you just know what you want to say beforehand. So whether it's like writing it down, practicing it a few times, I don't even think we need to say, people are doing a great job at all that info. We understand if you can't get all of the info in there, but you don't want our opinion to change if we talk to you and like we get more info or you call back and you give us an update or whatever. We want to continue to be on your side. You know what I mean? Like, we want to be on your side. So like, give us the info that, helps us make the decision. We are just unbiased third parties. I do have a bias about certain things, but like if you first start off with being like, Megan, I love you so much, I'll usually be like, okay, well, I'll be a little bit nicer. I'm kidding.
No, she's not.
I love when people like me. But I also love when people hate me.
Me too.
I'm also not, and that's the part we're not kidding about either.
The episode I put up last night, I guess I said that only like 30% of people like me.
Oh my God. And you woke up to, Melissa, you are so loved and valued.
In the YouTube video from the original one, because I wanted to download the video to get it, to upload it. And people are like, Melissa. And I was like.
And you're like, oh, I don't actually think. You're like, I must have been having a bad day, or I was lying.
It was also the pandemic.
Oh, yeah. We cannot be held accountable. We talked about apparently frying cum, which I still don't even know what that means. I'm really sorry.
What that means.
I'm very sorry. Specifically,
I know it would have had to be. I'm trying to think.
I'm just picturing it in a fucking caraway pan.
It would have had to get frozen first. You have to get it, freeze it, coat it, and then fry it.
Oh, I was thinking of a pan fry. You're thinking of a deep fry.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Oh, okay. I like yours better because in a pan fry, I'm looking at it the whole time.
Yeah. You gotta freeze it first.
Yeah, I like yours better.
Coat it.
Do you think it came from the fact that I talked about how like I tweeted the first time I ever gave a blowjob when I was like 16, being like, am I going to be allergic to cum because like, is it dairy? Like, does it because it comes from a mammal?
I don't know, but I
honestly think that's a big brain thing.
Both of us can really eat fried foods like that too.
No, and like.
We eat fries, though. We do love fries. I want to go back to Palm Springs and have those fries.
Whenever anyone says French fries, my mind transports me back to that fucking patio in Palm Springs and the best fries ever. And we're at this long ass table, and all of us are shouting across the table, "Are you trying these fries? These are the best fries we've ever had!" And I think we got 3 refills. Like it literally was so much.
I think we need to take a little trip.
Oh my God, let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna give some advice. First up, at 27, I recently bought my first home and moved out of my parents' house. Congratulations. After 4 months, things are great except for a neighbor across the street. He's a seemingly nice man in his 40s or 50s who lives alone, but he plays extremely loud music in his garage, particularly the bass. It's a constant pounding that penetrates my house, even with the TV loud, my own music playing, or headphones on. I initially confronted him and he was agreeable, giving me his number and saying other neighbors text him when it's too loud. I hesitated to text immediately, wanting to avoid being seen as a complainer. Eventually, I did text him and he became defensive, claiming I was the only one who has ever complained, contradicting his earlier statement. We supposedly, quote unquote, cleared things up, but 2 weeks later, he played his bass loudly from 4:30 p.m. to almost midnight. I texted him at 7:30 p.m. and he responded with a comment about the weather, ignoring my request. I'm frustrated and unsure what to do. Selling isn't an option. I've ordered some budget-friendly soundproofing materials, but I can't afford major renovations. I've considered talking to other neighbors, but they seem friendly with him, and I don't want to cause drama. I also assume if they had an issue, it would have been resolved by now. I'm at a loss and seeking advice. This is tough.
This is tough. I would, if you haven't already, I would make friends with your neighbors. And they might be seemingly friendly with them, but they're actually not. Because I had a major complaint with my neighbors, and it seemed like I was the only one that cared.
Well, it also felt very specific to you.
Yeah. So I started talking to my other neighbors, and they were on my side. I, struck up a light friendship. And then once we got comfortable, I brought up something very casually, like, did you notice that? Oh. And then I said, oh, I've been taking pictures and creating basically a dossier. And they're like, oh, when you figure out how to get this rectified, please let me know because I will co-sign with this. So, and then that started other people to join in with me. So it might seem like on the surface that it's just a you problem, but if it's bothering you this much, it's bothering somebody else that much. And unfortunately, you might be in an area where the acoustics hit just right, where it's extra annoying for you, but you won't know that unless you talk to other people. You got to be smooth with it, though.
Yeah. As someone who adores talking shit with anybody I can, I
feel like this one resonates with you particularly.
So deeply. The way that, like, I overheard one of my neighbors talking to, like, mods or whatever about something, and I came in and I get, are we talking shit? And they were like, no. And they were like, why? And I was like, I was just curious, like, you know, if we all hate the same person on the block, if we all want to talk shit. This person brought up someone else who I didn't like, and I said, okay, well, I'm fine if that wasn't who I was thinking about. I thought you were going to dislike that other person, but, like, this is fine. It is, like, strength in numbers and all of that kind of stuff, but also, like, you might be, so the homes where in LA in general are very, very, very old. Some people have done renovations, but in general, in my neighborhood, it's not new builds. It's very, very old houses. And so we all, any insulation that you add, like, it's aftermarket. It's no one's tearing down their houses to, like, it's not like plots of land where you're doing a fresh new build by choice. And so for that, I would say soundproofing, yes, is important. But if you are in an old house, it's also insulation. That's first is also very important. So, like, I would have someone come in who's, like, not just, like, an audio person, but, like, do you notice that your house is drafty? Like, that might be where some of the parts of, like, the sound is getting in. And some of your neighbors, part of the reason talking to them, they might be more friendly with him because they have found ways to mitigate the sound in their own homes. And they can also tell you what that is. But I think it's super important to talk to people. And then finally, I would say buy or rent, I don't know, maybe you can get it from the library. You can get a lot of, like, doodads and knickknacks from the library, a noise decibel monitor, and see what the actual, like, level, and, like, not, I think your phone is, like, an app that you can do that, but, like, that's not accurate. Like, get, like, an actual accurate one and monitor what that is, because I am a highly noise sensitive person. I hate noise. I hate quiet noise. I hate loud noise, but, like, I'm so sensitive. So for me, I know that in instances, like, even going to the movies, I wear, like, loop ambience, like, earplugs and stuff. Like, I can still hear everything. I don't like I don't usually like wearing the earplugs that really cancel everything out. That stresses me out. I don't like being able to hear my footsteps and that echoey underwater feeling. So finding out if it's, like, is this actually too loud? Because if it is on a decibel meter too loud, no matter quiet hours or, like, city ordinance, if it's a certain level of volume, it'll be illegally too loud for, if it's not, like, a construction project. Like, it's not city mandated. So if it's that loud, then I think at a certain point, then you talk to your neighbors, and then it's like, hey, I really don't want to go to the city. I don't want to talk about, like, I would love if you could just turn your music down, or, you know, we'd be happy as a block to chip in and contribute towards getting you an awesome pair of headphones. Like, I would love that. But, like, if you continue to play your music, like, this loud, at that point, it becomes not only a health issue for you, but for other people around. It drowns out noise that you might need of hearing cars coming up and all of that stuff. And, like, it is against the city ordinance, and then you can report them.
Agree.
I don't know if they'll do anything, but sometimes the threat's enough.
If you do it when it's actually happening, then they will tell them to turn it down. And if this happens continuous, then it could be a fine. So,
yeah,
track. You got to record things and make sure you're keeping a paper trail. And I think getting the decimal monitor, especially if it's after a certain time of day too. It's in a lot of cities, it's illegal after, if it's, like, a weekday and it's after, like, midnight, then you can't be a certain level. And then on the weekends, it's, like, 2:00 in the morning or something like that.
Yeah. And it sounds like he's aware of that. Because, like, he stopped at, like, right around midnight, which I'm like, I think he also might think that, but at a certain point when you reach a certain decibel, you can't do that regardless of the typical
Yep.
quiet hours or whatever.
Yep. But research your city, see what the level is, and then go from there.
Yeah. By the way, he without a doubt has profound hearing loss. So that
he probably doesn't hear how loud it is.
Yeah. Well, that's why he's listening to it that loud. And like, I don't know. I don't want to say that like he's not being a dick, but like I would keep. He's not trying to drive you crazy. It's a side effect of this. It's driving you crazy, and it is inconsiderate. But he probably is like this is not a normal level. If it's really fucking loud, that's not. You do that because you need that to hear. It's not good.
All right, we're gonna take a break. When we get back, we'll get into some more.
Ladies and gentlemen.
What are you doing?
What do you mean?
Just keep it simple.
I'm making the promo.
Just keep it simple. Just say, hey, we're the Brav Bros. Two guys that talk about Bravo.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're the Brav Bros.
No.
Oh.
Dude, stop with the voice. Just keep it simple.
I've seen promos on TV, dude. This is how you get the fans engaged. This is how you get listeners. We're trying to get listeners here. If we just say, oh, we're two dudes that talk about Bravo, people are going to get tired of it already. We need some oomph.
All right, then fine. Let's try to do it with your voice.
Brav Bros.
Good job.
If you are caught up in the Barbenheimer frenzy, if you love ranking the Mission Impossible films, if you are just an all-around movie fan, I have a podcast for you. Hello, I'm Amy Nicholson. I'm a film critic who writes for the New York Times, and I am also the co-host of Unspooled, the ultimate movie podcast. Each week, my co-host Paul Scheer and I unspool famous films to see if they are truly all-time classics. From the original 1984 Karate Kid to Children of Men to more recent pictures to Dune, yes, to Citizen Kane, we cover it all. Listen to Unspooled wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Laura Cathcart-Robbins, and I am the host and creator of the podcast, Only One in the Room. Every week, my co-host Scott Slaughter and I invite you to join us and lose yourself in someone's only one story. The Only One in the Room has a wide variety of guests, from prisoners to abuse survivors to swingers. With 21 seasons and counting, we guarantee that Only One in the Room will have a story that you'll connect with. This podcast is for anyone who has ever felt alone in a room full of people, which is to say that this podcast is for everyone.
We are back, and it's time for the next. I'm 27, and I've been with my boyfriend, 32, for 4 years. About a year into our relationship, his dad offered to help him buy a house. At the time, I wasn't very involved in the process. It's my first serious relationship, and long-term commitments freaked me out. My boyfriend planned to have roommates to afford the mortgage. A year later, I moved in, and it made the most sense to live in his house. I later learned his dad technically owned the house, and my boyfriend will inherit it one day. We could barely afford the mortgage on our own, so we got a roommate. Part of the rent goes towards the mortgage, and the rest goes into savings accounts shared by my boyfriend and his dad. Recently, I took a job with a pay cut to get a free master's degree. We saved the same amount each month, but we definitely could not afford the mortgage on our own now. I don't like his dad. He uses money manipulatively, like paying for family trips and then controlling everything because he's footing the bill. He also claims he quote-unquote saved us by buying the house, but the mortgage is as expensive as renting, and we would be fine without it. If we moved out, his dad would guilt trip my boyfriend, calling him ungrateful, just scratching the surface. My boyfriend already struggles with guilt and feels like he's failing because we can't afford the house alone. I could tolerate a roommate for a few more years if it meant saving to buy his dad out, but I doubt that's realistic. The savings account isn't even technically mine and my boyfriend's. It's in his and his dad's name, and his dad could use it as leverage. This doesn't feel like our house. I feel like I'm paying rent to his dad. It's a hard subject to talk about, let alone brainstorm ideas of what we could do. What do you think our options are? Oh, this sucks.
Why are you putting money in a savings account that your name is not on?
No.
Why are we doing that?
I just also, if you can't afford the mortgage on your own, what I'm confused about is like, then why is there a savings account? Because
the money should be going to that.
To the mortgage.
You should be paying off your actual loan because it's a mortgage, paying that off before you are saving money that you can't actually afford. But also, why did the dad buy a house that he couldn't afford in the beginning? Like, it seems like he's just using this as an excuse to have a property that he owns, but it's not in his son's name as well. The son had to get roommates to even afford it. And then after, when you moved in, you still can't afford it. What was the point? What was the point of this?
Part of me wonders if you could afford the mortgage if the savings account aspect wasn't added into that, because that's not the mortgage. When you say part of the money goes towards the mortgage and the other part goes to the savings account, is the dad covering then a portion of the mortgage?
None of this makes sense to me.
Like if he's covering, like, let's say, because I'm not good at math and this is not what it is. Let's say the mortgage is $500. It's not. And you're like, I can pay $200. Your boyfriend can pay $200 for
Yeah.
So then and like someone else can pay $400 to that. That is $1,000. $500 is going to the mortgage. Could you and your boyfriend, if you're together in that instance, you can pay $200, he can pay $200. That's $400. You're only $100 short on the mortgage. Is the dad paying? Oh, I'm paying that additional $100. And so I'm actually not pocketing that. I'm taking that $100, whatever. I'm taking the money you're giving me and I'm putting it in a savings account. Is that what is he covering the whole mortgage and then taking the money you give him to put into like a high interest savings account?
I need you to put yourself first, because you're paying into a mortgage that you're getting nothing off of, because right now the dad owns it. He said that eventually the son will inherit it. So the son isn't getting anything right now, but you're paying into this, never going to get anything unless he's giving it to both of you. And then also you're paying into a savings account that you're also not getting anything from. You need to have more control of your own finances that aren't tied to them. So sure, you're paying rent. I get that. But at the end of the day, you're paying rent to somebody that is related to somebody you're in a relationship with that will get something out of it, but you won't. And you have no money in your own savings account with your name on it. Mm-mm.
It doesn't sound like the relationship with him and his dad is so great that like there might not even be a guarantee that he gets anything out of this.
You should put it in a trust, because that would be what to do if it is guaranteed that yes, he's going to get it. Then he needs to set up a trust right now, and the trust is at least the one where you're putting money into the savings account should be that you're on that too.
Yeah, and like I think there's totally like not bad or predatory, or like at least less predatory ways to do this renting from, whether it's a partner or a family like whatever that is. I think there's like ways to do that, and I think very few of them exist with paying market value or more than market value for a mortgage without anything in return. I think paying less than market value towards a mortgage with nothing in return is fair. I think that's totally fine. I think paying just utilities or paying to like, to like fix things up and do those kinds of things and then living there for free, I think that makes sense. But like you said, like I feel like it's not my house. I feel like I'm just paying rent to my boyfriend's dad. You are. It is not your house. You're paying rent to him. And like the whole point of these kinds of circumstances and situations, it should be a better deal than you get with a landlord who is not related to you, doesn't know you, and doesn't care about you. And this is not, like you said, like it's like what you'd be paying if you just rented a place. And I think more importantly than that, the money that he is profiting off of, the money he's putting in a savings account, he's making money off of that. Mm-hmm. And so you could be using that money to cover, like you could be investing in that, and you could then be making money off of that money. And I think like this is like, if it's easier for you, because it's more commonly talked about, to view this like imagine it's your boyfriend and it's not his dad. Imagine it's like a very emotionally dependent relationship with his mom, and you wouldn't tolerate a toxic mother-in-law, because like we hear about that all the time, because it's much easier for us to talk shit on women. This is like, if he can't stand up to his dad, the same advice we give when someone's like, oh, my partner lets my mother-in-law walk all over me. It's like, he won't stop doing that. If someone cannot like separate the family that you were born into and all of that with like the family that you marry or you spend the relationship with and like the people you choose for that, there is a shift in priorities. And if he's not willing to like stand up for that or whatever, like that to me, as at 32, I'm out, because I'm worried you can't even stick up for yourself and not get screwed over in the situation, let alone make sure I don't get screwed over in the situation.
Yeah. Seems like a scam to me.
Oh, it's fully a scam. Move out.
Your options are to have your own place, or to convince them that this needs to be in a trust and you need to get a percentage of that.
And there needs to be a contract. Mm-hmm. And right now, if there's not a contract, if there's not a lease agreement, that's actually great because you can walk away from it. You're not held to any of that. But there needs to be a legal document drawn up and you need to have your own representatives there, not just like him having a lawyer or whatever to like look over it or say that my lawyer did this, so it's fine. And then you need to tell your boyfriend, we need to draw a hard line in the sand with your dad, because if we're going to continue on with this relationship, money is always going to be something that he seemingly has and something that we're always, in general, most people are going to need.
It sounds like to me, if it's something where if your boyfriend is going to eventually inherit it, why doesn't the dad rent it out to somebody else and then y'all move into an apartment to rent? And then that way it's all covered. The expenses are all covered on the house, I guess. And I don't like this from a renter's point of view, but this is a way like to help you yourself.
Yeah.
But like he rents it out to somebody else. That way the whole mortgage is covered. Then you guys are in an apartment that you can actually afford. You have your own savings account that you're putting your own money in, and then everything is clean. And then eventually when he's ready to sell it, when he's ready to pass it on, then he passes it on to his son, and then y'all can move in there.
Yeah, or even like doing the sense of like, not only just like upkeep of like, I don't know how big the property is and like the inside of the house, but like, you know, if you're like, oh, it's an older home, redoing it and then having like putting that money into using that mortgage money that you have spent into renovating said house. And that's what that is. And that's what you said. Or whether it's like, oh, like live and work there. Like, okay, you're going to do whatever that is. Like there's so many, I think, options of that, but they all have to be done in legal documents that are drawn up with that. But at the end of the day, he will fuck you over. He's already fucking you over is what I'm like. He's already fucking you over. And the putting it in a savings account thing, like it's just bad. And like, I don't know anybody who has like family money who would put their kid in a situation that makes them suffer while telling them it is for their benefit and telling them that this is a financial decision that's good for them is like not how you teach financial responsibility either.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to take a break. When we get back, we'll get into the next one.
Hello, I am Kristen Russo.
And I am Jenny Owen Youngs.
We are the hosts of Buffering the Vampire Slayer once more with spoilers, a rewatch podcast covering all 144 episodes of, you guessed it, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
We are here to humbly invite you to join us for our 5th Buffy prom, which, if you can believe it, we are hosting at the actual Sunnydale High School. That's right. On April 4th and 5th, we will be descending upon the campus of Torrance High School, which was the filming location for Buffy's Sunnydale High, to dance the night away to 90s music in the iconic courtyard, to sip on punch right next to the Sunnydale High fountain, and to nerd out together in our prom best inside of the set of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
All information and tickets can be found at bufferingcast.com/prom. Come join us.
Do you love Disney? Then you are going to love our hit podcast, Disney Countdown. I'm Megan, the Magical Millennial.
And I'm the Dapper Danielle.
On every episode of our fun and family-friendly show, we count down our top 10 lists of all things Disney. There is nothing we don't cover.
We are famous for rabbit holes, Disney-themed games, and fun facts you didn't know you needed, but you definitely need in your life. So if you're looking for a healthy dose of Disney magic, check out Disney Countdown wherever you get your podcasts.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all. I'm JJ.
Hey, guys. It's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests to share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned.
to not tell this story. But I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
We're back.
Hi, you guys. I actually called in a long time ago, like 5 years ago, and I said that every guy on the dating apps are always like, oh, you look like fun, they're not taking me seriously. Well, your advice was pretty good, and I did get a man, and we have been together for almost 3 years now, and it's lovely, but his family, I cannot stand his family. They're like a lot. They're actually very scary, white people saying the N-word type of vibe, and I don't want to be a part of that. So I just really avoid them, and I come up with a lot of reasons why I can't go to things. And I am pretty busy, so I usually can't go anyways. But there's that guilt that's like, oh, I never hang out with his family. But he's a delight, and he's always over at our functions, and, you know, we have a really good time. But it feels a little one-sided. So what can I do? Thank you. Talk to you in 5 years.
Well, I remember this episode very vividly, actually.
Me too. And by the way, in the best way possible, you still are fun.
You sound like fun.
You still, and like from a friendship point, and I think we said that the last time, but like the way that guys were saying that was like not good. But I want you to know, you didn't lose that being in a 3-year relationship. Like you're still fun.
And I'm glad that you've found somebody and
3 years
you're together. Does your boyfriend use the N-word? That's my first question. And is he okay with his family using the N-word? Is my second question. Once we get those questions out the way, then we can move on to he's at your family's house. They're having a good time at your functions. So why can't we just keep things the way they are? You are too busy for his family anyway.
Does he even want, like, you? This sounds like a self-imposed, like, I should be doing this. Does he think you should be doing this? Or does he go, my parents are racist and my family fucking sucks? Like, we don't have, you do not have to spend time there. Let's hang out with your family. I like them a lot better. The only thing I would say is that, like, I understand the avoiding, but I would, and you probably know this because I'm sure you had to find out some way that they do this. So I'm sure you've been and you just didn't say that that's how this happened. But like I would want to go to be like, what does he do when this happens? And like, who is he? Where is that? Is it like I'm removing myself from the conversation? Is it like and even asking him of like, I've tried to have this conversation with them. It's not happening. And like, right now I'm not at the place where I like want to completely sever that relationship. So like, I don't engage. I don't let them say it. I don't endorse it. If they say it, I walk away. I move on. But that's what I can muster up right now. I think is very different than like I uncomfortably giggle along and like makes like Sleepy Joe comment. Like it's like I don't know what level of participation he's in. And you've been with him for 3 years, so I'm sure you know. But like I would kind of want to see that. And then I'm like, if you're spending every weekend with them, I go, that's a lot of time to be spending with versus like a holiday or a funeral or, you know, whatever. I think that it sounds like he opts in to spend time with your family and he could be spending that time with his family. And to me, as someone who also opted in to spend time with other people's families, that was like never, it wasn't for this reason, but like it was never a conversation. It was like they knew like, okay, yeah, you're choosing to have family dinner at our family house. So we're going to assume there that like it's when you are spending the time there, it's not necessarily the first choice you'd want to be.
I also have another question too. It doesn't change any outcome, but are they saying the N-word as in homie
I just
like
almost
to each other? Or are they calling Black people the N-word? Or is it a mix of both?
Do they mean it like homie?
Right.
By the way, if you guys are brand new here, listen to the other episodes. A cop recently said that to our face in my area about someone being called the F slur. Do they mean that like homie?
Homie?
That says more about you than me.
But that's a question. I would like to have a response to that.
I think that like, I also would like if you painted a picture because white, when you were like, they're like, I don't really like those people. They're the kind of white people who say the N-word. Unfortunately, there are a lot of different iterations of white people who say the N-word. So like, is this
we have Black people in the family, so we use it because they say it's okay.
Are we feeling like, oh, this is like, I wear my hair in braids because my best friend is Black and this is fine. And my braider says it's fine because I'm paying her. And so like, is it something like that? Like they feel
pure racist.
Yes. Is it like fuck Black people and fuck immigrants? Like, is it also in a political and like moral, social aspect of it that like, because I mean, obviously both are without a doubt bad.
Both of them don't engage, but I still want to know in what context are they using it?
Well, because for me, in the context that they're using it also really, really affects how I would view my relationship. Because like, if I'm getting married, I can't have racists at my wedding.
Right.
I have Black friends. Mott's has Black friends. Like, that's like, that's something of like, hey, I don't feel safe bringing the people I love into this environment versus this is going to make, by the way, you're going to check out this cousin who thinks Chet Hanks. Like there is it's a very different kind of risk assessment there that I think like I would like how I view my partner in like the, can you only be friends with white people because like you are afraid for the safety if your family found like, or is this like this is embarrassing versus this is dangerous? So I think that like that also, again, neither are okay. But for me, yes, you date someone's family, but at the end of the day, I'm like, it's who do you choose? And those choices that you make, what does that look like for my future, our kids' future? Like, will this relationship with your parents affect the decisions you make forward in your life? And if we stay together, that we will have to make as a couple. Like, that to me is like, I don't feel that because I wouldn't bring like, I don't know if you want to have kids or whatever, but like to me, I'm like, then you're bringing people into this that it's not good. But I'm going to bet you that he also hates his family.
Yeah. And I'm also curious if you are a person of color as well, because you use the word, he comes to our functions. And I don't know many white people that use functions, but I know a plethora of people of color that use function.
I did look it up because function is also because of it is coming from Black people, a Bay Area term. And I looked it up. They're not from I mean, I knew it wasn't a Bay Area code, but I was like, maybe somewhere close. No. And where it is, I know nothing about that state, so I don't know if they use so I'm thinking
I feel like this is a person of color in a white area.
Yeah. I'm thinking no. But yeah, I think the other thing I would also just like look at like, are you worried about your boyfriend sharing some of these views quietly? Like, who are his friends? What kind of content does he consume? What media does he consume? Like all of that stuff. And if all of it is white, and rap music, that doesn't clear his name whatsoever. So imagine this is Chet Hanks. I'm sorry, because that would me saying that Rita and Tom
Have
Hanks.
you seen her rap?
I'm so sorry.
Rita raps?
No, but I was saying this is my implication that Tom Hanks and Rita are just saying the N-word at family function. Then I was like, no. It's the opposite. It's just their son. Wait, what rap? Did she do one of the SNL ones?
No, she did got in front of a microphone.
Oh my God, Rita Ora pops up first. Rita Wilson, you need to figure that out. Wait, for what, Melissa?
I think it was just for fun.
Doesn't she also sing?
I don't know.
She is. She's a singer.
Okay, well, she was rapping.
What kind of rap?
Just look it up.
No. Quarantine Stir Crazy, the rap? This is Imagine all over again. I can't do this.
All right, we're going to take another break. And when we get back, we'll get into a don't blame them and
I'm scared.
Comments.
Hey, do you like true crime? Me too. And I know what you're thinking. There's so many true crime pods out there, you've already heard all the stories. Well, what if I were to tell you you're wrong? I'm Leroy Luna, the host of Excuse Me, That's Illegal, the podcast that takes a hardcore look at softcore crime. I've got a back catalog of hundreds of bizarre and hilarious stories just waiting to be heard by you. So come join me. Excuse Me, That's Illegal is available anywhere you get your favorite podcasts, with new episodes dropping on the 10th, 20th, and 30th every month, baby!
Bitches on Comics is a bi-monthly interview podcast where we talk to the coolest LGBTQ plus folks and women in comics and pop culture.
Our unique perspectives and welcoming nature have earned us the honor of being named a best comic book podcast by Book Riot, Screen Rant, The Mary Sue, Comic Book Herald, and Comic Book Couples Counseling.
Bitches on Comics is hosted by moi, Monica Estrella Negra, filmmaker, writer, and co-founder of Audrey's Revenge Film.
And me, Essie Fleenor, comic and pop culture nerd and culture critic with writing in The Independent, Vice, Electric Literature, Star Trek, and so much more.
We're also both voting members of Gallica, the Society of LGBTQ plus Entertainment Critics.
Join Bitches on Comics for in-depth, hilarious, and heartfelt conversations with the likes of Stephanie Williams, Leah Anderson, and the late, great Rachel Pollack.
Listen to Bitches on Comics on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Or tune in at bitchesoncomics.com. New episodes every other Wednesday.
I'm Brennan Storr.
I'm Paul Bestall.
We're the Ghost Story Guys.
And every 2 weeks, we explore first-person stories of encounters with the paranormal from all around the world.
Then we have some fun reacting to those stories. We like to say our goal is to scare the hell out of you, then make you laugh.
Belief in the paranormal is not required. All you need is a love of great storytelling and curiosity about the world around you.
Come find the Ghost Story Guys on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else fine podcasts live, or at ghoststoryguys.com.
All right, we're back. And now it's time for Don't Blame Them. What's Don't Blame Them, Megan?
Don't blame them is when someone calls in or writes in.
Up.
I'm just scared.
This one isn't something to be scared about.
It's not about that. Okay.
No.
Don't blame them is when someone calls in or writes in with their own advice based on a call we had aired on a previous episode. So they might have their own advice because they've been through something similar in their personal life, or they might have professional advice. It might relate to what they do for work, or they just have like some deep random knowledge on it. Because sometimes we all go into those deep rabbit holes, or they just have feelings and opinions and they're going to share them.
Hi, Meghan and Melisa. This is Don't Blame Them for the January 16th episode. This is for the woman that wanted a step-by-step on how to kiss. You both missed an important detail where the caller said she's autistic. I'm also an autistic woman, and getting advice that talks about vibes won't work for me. Here's a step-by-step. 1. When you go in for a hug, can be at any time. Hug for about 3 seconds and then pull back slightly, but keep your hands where they were when you were hugging. Then you pull back and you should be about 6 inches from each other. Look at her in the eyes and ask, "Can I kiss you?" If she says yes, lean your head to the right so that your noses won't hit, and lean into her until your lips are about 1 inch from hers. 4. Wait 2 seconds to see if she closes the gap and kisses you. If she doesn't, lean fully in and press your lips to hers gently for about 1 second. 5. Pull away and smile at her. And you did it. Some brief advice on making out. In terms of breathing, you can breathe through your nose while making out so you don't have to stop. If you want to take a break to catch your breath, you can pull back and start kissing her cheek or neck. For tongue action, start by opening your mouth more when you kiss. Let her start using her tongue first and mimic what she does. It's like you're touching each other's tongues together right where your lips meet, and then making a licking motion. Then take your tongue back so it's no longer touching her tongue, and then repeat. This is the exact WikiHow.
I have a question though. If you're making out with tongue, if it's just where your lips meet, do you mean your lips meet hers? Because then it's like, or do you mean your lips? Because then it's just like
the turtle thing I was talking about.
Yeah, like your tongue is longer than that, and your tongue should be. I mean,
It should be.
I'm not telling you to go keep it. Yeah, like keep it cute first.
Yeah,
but like
it should be half and half. Like half. It's not like a all way in. Like it should be equal amounts
in your mouth
and theirs. Yes.
Yeah, it shouldn't just be like just past your lips or like just like touching their lips.
Yeah.
Your tongue shouldn't touch their lips. Your tongue should touch inside of their mouth.
Yeah, you start like if you're initiating, it might be like a little lick on the. No, not like that, Megan. Come on.
Sorry.
A
little knock at the door. A little. Hello, anyone home?
But I will say I wasn't disregarding the autistic part. I was actually thinking about some of my autistic friends when I was giving the advice.
Yeah, I think that this is great,
But
like
it
step
doesn't
by step.
Yeah, but people don't exist in a monolith.
Totally. And I think that like the build up instance for when you start step one, I think is the part that always used to psych me out of like once we get to that step one. But I think this is good because like I don't even know how I would describe how to do. You know what I mean? So I think it's good. It's good. It's good tips. And then don't use your teeth. Also, by the way, if you cannot breathe through your nose, and it is not like a.
Do you encounter this?
I was about to say, as someone who had a severe, and it's still bad, but it's not as bad because it's impossible to correct when it's that bad. Deviated septum. I could only breathe out like 10% of one of my nostrils, and then like, I don't know, 50% of whatever. I was not getting a ton of air, but like I was still able to breathe through my nose while making out. If you can't breathe through your nose because you're congested, it is not the time to be making out because it will warm everything up and then you're snotting on someone, and that's not sexy.
But you can also, like, if you are someone that can't breathe through their nose, you can breathe through your mouth. Like, it's not.
No, totally. I'm saying if it is because you're so congested, I wouldn't make out with someone if it's just a temporary congestion.
Be making out with anybody.
No, yeah, you're sick. You should actually stay home.
You also have phlegm in your throat.
Yeah.
Like, no thanks. But like, if you are someone that cannot breathe out of your nose, you can breathe out of your mouth.
Yeah, and you know how
because
to
your mouth
do
shouldn't
that.
be so latched on that you're giving
It's not a suction.
CPR.
It's not a vortex.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. And then we're going to get into some comments from that same episode. But there was a call where someone was co-sucking someone. I called it co-sucking their coworker, but
that's what happened.
That's exactly what happened. 3 people who work in a cellular device store.
Are we saying that?
They said it.
Oh,
We
okay.
said it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if that was just an us
No.
tip. Okay. They had a flirty relationship with one of their coworkers, and then that coworker had like a little bit of a flirty relationship with a male coworker, and then it suddenly went from, hey, I think me and this male coworker, who, by the way, married with children, and I also, in this being this other woman coworker in the situation, long-term relationship, also have kids, right?
Yeah, they were married too.
No, do they have kids or no? No, I
Yeah,
think
they
only
had kids. No, they had
she
kids
had
too.
kids too?
Mhm.
Okay. The person who calls us is talking about how their coworker is a girl and has a little bit of a crush on her. They have a flirty relationship. It's the flirty banter. But a male coworker has a little bit of like a random flirty banter with this coworker too, not with the original caller. And then the coworker, the girl who was like has a little bit of a crush on our caller, was like, hey, I know that I'm married with kids, and I know he's married, or I know I'm in a long-term relationship with kids. I know he's married with kids. I think that like we're gonna like hook up. And then our caller said, oh my God, that's great. Let me know how it goes. And that somehow translated into
while they were hooking up in the back closet of the cellular store that they work at.
Well, it translated into, instead of good luck, come along. Now join
the first time though, it was just the two of them, and the caller was keeping guard. And then the second time, the caller
want to be an active participant. And then it just turned into, we've now put on our work schedule that we're going to suck your dick at 0600 hours every day, seemingly behind the Xbox. I don't know. Like, it is crazy. And then people were fucking and people were seeing each other and all of that. And it was like, oh my God.
Initially, the people, there could not be any eating of cats going on or sucking of titties. So
And he was allowed to do that, but he was not. He was allowed to have his dick sucked, but he was not allowed to have that. And then apparently that didn't raise any red flags of maybe you're not in an open relationship. And people started breaking, right? Didn't people break up?
Mm-hmm. Everybody broke up.
Yeah.
And then the caller rescued him off a curb and brought him back to their place. But they also had called in previously about how to hook up with people because their roommate is their brother.
And they're really shy. And really what they are is a liar because you're not shy.
But you should go back and listen to all of it because it's very shocking. If you sign up for a Patreon, you can see our facial expressions. So here's some responses to the update. Black Liberace, I know you comment on a lot of our stuff, but I'm not going to comment. I'm not going to read this because a little offensive, but I see it.
Obsessed with that username.
Yeah. So then we're going to go on. All these are public comments, so I will be reading your names. Megan Rosalie Van Tholen said, girl is on some consumer cellular BS. And I think that's a good call because you were trying to put it on Sprint, Megan.
Oh, yeah. So sorry.
Consumer cellular BS. Please stop and put that man back on the curb where you found him. Facts. Great. Rachel Franklin said, I had to pause 3 times so far in shock and awe while listening to this episode in my cubicle at work. Holy fuck. I still have 11 minutes to go.
Now, would you say as you're at your workplace, are you craving sucking cock? While you're in your cubicle, is that cubicle making you go, you know what I could really go for right now? Slurping down a shaft.
Gotta wet that palate.
And here's the thing. I think it's crazy that we literally started this recording being like, I can't believe that one time we talked about frying cum. And here we are right now. And I go, actually, I can picture it now. I can picture it.
Then we have Yared Carmona. Apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name. God, I wish the video was on Spotify. Is it on Patreon? I am willing to pay to see y'all's faces. Yes, it is on Patreon. Go check it out.
It's crazy. Our faces are so fucking funny because we're recording virtually. So we have a slight bit of ours is not at the exact same time. And our brains, my brain works a little slower than yours. So to put the pieces together to suddenly watch us. Oh my God, it's so funny. The shock and the awe.
You should watch both episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tori Heck said, the co-sucker also being the brother situation is crazy. Ha 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 ha.
Fucking crazy.
To everyone that let us know that we were following people, thanks. We got millions of messages on both our I'm sure you got them on your personal.
Yeah.
And but okay.
In general, I think that people are viewing this as some weird conspiracy theory. I think if anyone who they didn't follow the POTUS accounts or any of that, I'm okay, sure, that makes sense. But I got them literally at midnight being hey, you're following this is really concerning. I'm up until 12 hours ago, less than 30 minutes ago, this was not these accounts.
No,
but people are but there are these new accounts. And I was I do think they are doing something where they're transferring the followers over to a separate account. And this is it's not that.
It literally happened the last time too. It's the same thing. It happened before.
Yeah, it's splitting off an account.
Chill. But somebody else said, I'm laughing so fucking hard at y'all reading this. I had forgotten that they were both married with children because this person had kind of defended them in the original Don't Blame Them. They said, I'm laughing so fucking hard at y'all reading this. I had forgotten that they were both married with children. Y'all are so right. And it being the pregame to Wicked is crazy. Also, yes, Megan is 10,000% correct. I don't have any young children around me or in my life at all. So she is probably spot on that I don't have anybody to envision in their places.
Yeah, and that's why you forgot that there are kids involved.
Mm-hmm.
Because unless you have young kids who are in your family or in your life, that is not a detail that you're holy shit, I'm just immediately picturing my niece and nephew going through this. I'm immediately picturing whoever going through that. So that makes total sense why you forgot.
All right. Well, I know the saga isn't over. So OG caller, keep them coming. We need updates, but I also need to know how your life is improving.
Do you even like your job?
Can you get a new job?
And also, I think we should be not rewarding this man who came in who
lied.
Also was working, for lack of a better term, underneath you. And now he's your manager. And I go, what do you mean this man got hired after you and after the other person there, and now he's the manager. We should be mad about this. We should not be rewarding that with a slurp and a suck.
All right. Well, thank you so much to everyone that's listened. Remember that we are here 4 days a week. Tomorrow we have Fisting Friday. Monday we have But Am I Wrong? Tuesday, see you next Tuesday. Wednesday, use it as your catch-up day. Catch up on some other episodes. And then Thursday, we're back here for Don't Blame Me. Also, buy our merch. Check it out. It's really fun. We may have some updates coming. Also, if there's anything that you're like, hey, I would like this, let us know. We might be able to make it happen.
Yeah.
Especially if you're our Patreon, you get first dibs.
The designer, I know intimately because it's quite literally me with my iPad.
You flick your bean.
No.
Whenever I hear intimately, I think of sexual ways.
Oh, I thought you were talking about my iPad pencil, and I said it's less of a bean. It's more
No,
phallic.
I'm talking about your clitoris.
Oh no,
Would
I
you
know.
prefer me to say that?
No, I don't like how you said that. It's really aggressive. And also, if you are here and you're like, oh, I thought this was gonna be more pop culture. We talk so much like very much pop culture in our not bonus, but like our Tuesday episode, our Friday episode, and then and you can also say, hey, can we hear your thoughts or your feelings on this? And then our But Am I Wrongs? I think are like a perfect mix of pop culture and not ignoring, horrible things in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it is like, hey, the world is on fire and we hate Republicans. So let's talk about something stupid. But it's never going to be like, oh, I actually had no idea that Roe v. Wade was overturned.
Yeah. We'll talk more about that. Listen back to Monday's episode. I have thoughts on it. Well, that's our episode. Remember, you can call in to 310-694-0976.
Good job.
Got it. Write into meghanpodcast@gmail.com. Keep it to 300 words or less. Please. Some of the ones that came in have been very long lately. 300 words. I've cut them down. So if you're like, well, that's not the exact thing that I asked for. Well, I sent you an email back and asked you to trim it down and you didn't. So made decisions for you. Follow us on TikTok. Follow Megan on YouTube. Toodaloo.
Bye.
This is a Sister Sign production hosted by me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa D. Montz, plus Diamond Imprint Productions.
Post-production by Coco Lorenz.
Production assistance by Melanie D. Watson.
And music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso.
Welcome to the small town of Chinook, where faith runs deep and secrets run deeper. In this new thriller, religion and crime collide when a gruesome murder rocks the isolated Montana community. Everyone is quick to point their fingers at a drug-addicted teenager, but local deputy Ruth Vogel isn't convinced. She suspects connections to a powerful religious group. Enter federal agent V.B. Lauro, who has been investigating a local church for possible criminal activity. The pair form an unlikely partnership to catch the killer, unearthing secrets that leave Ruth torn between her duty to the law, her religious convictions, and her very own family. But something more sinister than murder is afoot, and someone is watching Ruth. Chinook, starring Kelly Marie Tran and Sanaa Lathan. Listen to Chinook wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone, so we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural then and now.